Rachel, and the Writer on Wheels. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about how you can start writing more with the time that you have. I have 8 tips for how to get more writing in, and yeah, let's go through it. Before we start, make sure you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and comment down below how many words a day you currently get on average. I'd love to know. Tip number 1 is to make writing a priority. Alright, now reality check here. Do you actually prioritize writing? Or are you sitting on the couch, scrolling through Instagram or YouTube or TikTok or whatever, saying, man, I wish I had more time to write? That still is me, to be honest. Despite me writing on the couch on my phone a lot, I will still scroll through TikTok or whatever and be thinking, oh, I should be writing, but I need to watch more videos. So my first tip is to figure out how bad you want to write. Do you actually want this? And I have found it helps me to write it down, to do some journaling about not only how bad do I want it, why do I want this? Why do I want it published? And that's going to be different for everybody. Maybe you don't want it published. Maybe you just want to write for yourself or for a friend. But do some journaling and figure that out. And anytime you don't feel motivated to write, pull that out and read it to remind yourself why you're doing what you're doing. So my second tip is to utilize writing sprints. Now, if you don't know, writing sprints are when you set a timer for 10, 15, 25 minutes, however long, and during that time, write as much as you can, as fast as you can. You're not going back and reading what you wrote, you're just adding words to the document. And then you take a break, and then you do it again. I prefer 25-minute sprints with a 5-minute break. You can look up the Pomodoro method, which is 4 25-minute sprints with a 5-minute break in between, and then a 20-minute break, I believe, after the 4th sprint. And this is just a way to keep you focused and get more words in. Some people cannot do 25. They get more done with 10-minute sprints or even 5-minute sprints. It really depends on the person. Yeah, some people do as many as 45-minute sprints. There's no rule, really, for how long each sprint is. It's up to personal preference. And really, as long as it works, who cares how long it is? Now, why does this work? I'm sure there's some weird scientific thing. I'm not sciencey, so I don't know. But for me, the ticking clock and knowing that time will be up gives me a goal. In 25 minutes, I can go on Facebook. I can go on YouTube and watch a video. The other nice thing about writing sprints is you can do them with a group. So I'm in several Discord servers that multiple people will be writing at the same time, and we'll do sprints together. And it's sort of a friendly competition to see who can do more words in these 25-minute sprints. That's what I was doing earlier when I was scripting this video. I wrote this entire video and the accompanying blog post through sprints. They're also really nice if you get overwhelmed easily. Let's say you have 4 hours that you can sit down and write. That's a long time to just sit there. But if you break it down into 25-minute chunks, that's a much more manageable amount of time. And you can track your progress easier. It sounds weird, but it works. At least for me. Tip number 3 is to get an accountability buddy. Now, an accountability buddy is somebody who you, every day, every week, every predetermined amount of time, go to them and say, hey, for this next day, week, whatever, here is what I want to accomplish. I will check in with you at the end and tell you if I got it done. And having that other person knowing that you want to get this done and knowing that they will be disappointed if you don't gives you an artificial deadline of sorts. So one of my big issues with consistent writing and writing more has been I don't have a deadline. I'm planning on self-publishing, so I don't have an editor or a publishing house telling me that I have to have this book done. And I know myself. I'm a pushover. Even if I set myself a deadline, I'll push it back and be fine with it. It's bad, you guys. It's bad. But in high school and college, I always got my work done on time because I had a deadline that was not set by me. I now have 3 people who I will tell every week what I hope to get done. And at the end of the week, I have to tell all 3 of them whether or not I got it done. These 3 people are my mom, my girlfriend, and a friend that I met through a writing group on Discord. All 3 of them ask me every week if I got my writing done. And accountability buddies can go both ways. With my writing friend on Discord, they tell me what they hope to accomplish too. So at the end of the week, we compare notes and we say, oh, I got this done, or oh, I didn't get that done. And it works out really well, and it keeps each other motivated, and I love this. I have been so much more productive since I have started doing this. Tip number 4 for getting more writing done is to change your surroundings. I do 90% of my writing on my desktop behind me, and that's just usually where I go. I sit in my chair and I work all day. However, when I get stuck or I need a change of scenery, I'll grab my iPad and go out into the living room or go outside if it's nice, and the change of scenery, for whatever reason, just stops the writer's block, and I get more done. I see things that I didn't see before in my story, and the change of scenery is just nice. 2 years ago, I probably could have and would have gone to the library or to, Barnes & Noble and written there, but with things how they are right now, that's not really an option that I would feel safe and comfortable doing. When I was at college and I lived on campus, I loved going to, the dining hall or library in the main study area and studying with people around so I could, I loved studying around other people doing their things. It was even if I wasn't studying with a group and it was just me, having other people doing their own thing, it was sort of a group activity. Yeah, I might have gotten distracted once or twice, but for the most part, having other people around me talking and doing their own thing somehow helped me focus. In the same vein, tip number 5 is to change up your tools. So since I usually write on my desktop, if I go somewhere else, I do this automatically. But if you have a laptop, maybe you also have a tablet that you could write on. I know Scrivener has an iOS app for their phone and for your iPad. I use both. I know, I write on my phone. Not everybody can, but I do, and I love it. If you don't have an iPad or a tablet, and you only have your laptop or your desktop, try switching up what program you're using. If you primarily write in Scrivener, try writing in Google Docs. If you only write in Google Docs, try Scrivener or Word or any of the other writing software that you might have. Heck, even if you just have a notepad, maybe handwriting. Another thing that I have done in Scrivener is I've changed it from light to dark mode, which for some reason helps. I don't know, it just triggers your brain somehow. I don't know, it's weird, but it works. Speaking of triggers, tip number 6 is to set up writing triggers. Every day before I write, I brush my teeth, I wash my face, I open up YouTube, and I find an ambient sound that goes with the scene that I am about to write that day. So if my characters are in a classroom, I will find it's usually like a Harry Potter classroom ambient track on YouTube. And if you right click on it, you can put it on a loop. And they're usually like 3 hours long, and usually that's enough. But I'll put that on there, and I'll put it just on my second monitor and not touch it. And that gets me in the mood to write, and doing that every day has set up the habit that once the sound is on, and my face is clean and my teeth are brushed, it's time to write. Some people also will light a candle in the same scent every day, and that scent triggers their brain to know that it's time to write. I know some people will tie their hair up. Some people meditate if they have time. It depends. Just set up a routine that every day you do this before you write, and it triggers your brain to know, okay, I've done this, it's time to write. So you're writing now, and you're actually making good progress. Maybe you're doing a sprint, maybe you're not, maybe that doesn't work for you. Either way, you're writing, and then you stop. Your mind goes blank, and you cannot think of the right word for this situation. What do? When I'm in this situation, I just put a word in little brackets, and I move on. If it's a character thing, and it's like I'm writing my main character, and I need to describe their eye color, and I can't remember what it is, rather than opening up my series Bible and looking it up, I'll just put in brackets, eye color, and I move on, because I know myself. I know that if I stop and I go to Campfire and I open up my series Bible, I will not leave Campfire. I will add stuff to that, and I won't actually add words to my manuscript. So I just add brackets, and I keep going, and I will add that in later. That's what revisions are for. Right now I'm drafting. Same thing goes if I'm writing a description, let's say, and I need a certain word for something. And I have, a couple of words in mind, but they don't quite fit, and so I'll put them in brackets together, and then I'll move on and come back to that later in revisions. The other thing I do to make the brackets stand out more is I highlight them with like an orange or yellow color so that when I'm going back through, they stand out, because a lot of times I'll miss the brackets. I'm very bad at like Where's Waldo and stuff, so I need them to be as obvious as possible. And my final tip for today is to be kind to yourself and set realistic expectations. We all have lives outside of writing, whether that be school, work, family, etc. We all have other commitments. If we only have 15 minutes a day that we can feasibly write, setting a goal of 1,000 words might not be realistic. Know your limits and know what you can do. Your goals can change. They can and they will, and they should. You might not know when you set them what obstacles you're going to come into contact with. Something might come up and you can't write for 4 days. That doesn't mean that you failed in getting that word count or that page count or whatever. It just means that you might need to work on some of these other points. Or maybe you're not being kind enough to yourself and you need to reevaluate this goal. And that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let me know down in the comments which of these tips was your favorite and which ones you either already do or are going to try. My name is Rachel. I'm the Writer on Wheels, and I post videos every Friday. Yeah. Thanks, guys.